Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with my wife, Nathalie Blackham. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're the program that looks at Israel. We look at the news and we look behind the news at what's happening here in the land. And it's very exciting to bring you this Israel First update, where we can talk a little bit about what we're doing with the program. We can talk about Nathalie's book. Nathalie's written a book, The Beauty of the Hebrew Language, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we can talk about some of the guests that are coming on, Nathalie, that our viewers will be able to see in the coming weeks and months, some of the guests we've been having in the studio. And then we're also going to have a look at, if I can just get it from here, look at the local news and have a quick paper review and see what's happening. And then finally, we're also going to look at some of the projects that we've got for the studio and how you at home, how you can become involved. And by the way, wherever you're watching today, please do email us. You can email us at info@israelfirst.org and or you can go onto the website www.israelfirst.org, and there's a message box and you can send us a message as to where you're watching and you know how much you enjoy the program, and just let us know. That'd be great. So we're really looking forward to hearing from you. So I thought maybe I'd just talk a bit about the guest, Nathalie, and then we can I know that you're going to be sharing a bit about some of the work that we're doing and some things that are happening with the Jewish Christian and Jewish Catholic relations as well. Now, we've had in the some of the guests very exciting. We've had in the studio include we had Linda Menuhin, Abdulaziz in the studio. Now, she was talking about the situation with Jewish refugees. So
because she comes from Iraq, she was coming from Iraq, so she was a refugee from a Muslim country. And
one of the things that people don't realize is how much Jewish people have been refugees, have had to move from other countries, have had to move to have been thrown out of the Muslim countries because of Israel, the things that have happened in the land of Israel. And we know, or the news tends to focus on the Palestinian refugees, but we never hear about the Jewish refugees, those who've been thrown out. So this was a very important program. Now, we've also had in the studio Alan Baker, Ambassador Alan Baker, who we were privileged to have come in and talk to us about the legal rights of the Jewish people on the Temple Mount, and also the legal rights of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. So that was a very interesting program. Now, one of the things we're doing with Israel First is to work with the center in Efrat, the CJCUC, which is a center where they're
Jewish and Christian cooperation and understanding.
And they're working to build bridges between the Christian community and the Jewish community. They're Orthodox Jews, and they've been working behind the scenes, and they're doing things, all sorts of things are going on. So we're going to be bringing you on the Israel First television program some interviews with some of the staff. We had their senior director, their executive director, David Nekrutman, in the studio, telling us a bit about his background. And then we've also had from the staff of CJCUC, we've had Rabbi Pesach Walicki coming into the studio and talking to us. So you're going to really enjoy those programs.
Yeah, it's very exciting because there is a lot of things happening between Jews and Christians in the land. And he's been brewing for a while, but now there is really things who are put in place. And as you say, David Nekrutman is the first center with Orthodox Jews who are reaching to the Christian community. So it's very important. And again, with them, there was also a historical event that happened, which was last Friday, which was in September. And there was a Catholic father who came, which was Father Russ McDougall. And he was speaking also with a rabbi who is working also with the team of CGCUC. And he's called Rabbi Eugene Korn. And again, there was a dialogue, and is all what's happening between between the Jews and the Catholic Church, and there was a tremendous amount of cooperation now, and which wasn't like that for 2,000 years.
And it's not just dialogue, but there's also bridge building, and there,
Yes.
there's the Catholic churches and reconciliation
Yes.
after the.
Not just reconciliation. I mean, I know it's important to see that, but you need also to see that there is on paper. You see, the trouble, 1967, Israel got all the territories of Samaria and Judea, but it hasn't been put in paper. So now they are in big trouble. People are just, the BDS movement and all of that are saying this is not yours. And again, you hear so many people saying this is not your territories, when internationally, with the law, it is theirs, but he wasn't put on paper. So you see, all the thing that's happening between the Orthodox Jews and the Catholic Church is put on paper, so there is steps, and you can see historical events that happening, and they were meeting again this in September, because 50 years ago, the Catholic Church started to really say, okay, we have done it, we were wrong with you. Which was amazing, because it was a big step for the Catholic Church saying we were wrong. And so because of that, there is a lot of things who are now being put in place. It's very exciting. It's historical time, and we need to know these things, because sometimes it's not in the media, and this is very important thing. So we want to tell you all that's happening here on the ground in Jerusalem.
And one of the things that the viewers can become involved in, Nathalie, is also with the project that we're doing with the Israel First television program and the Israel First studio, and helping us with equipment. If you'd like to help support us, or if you would like to give towards a project, we have all sorts of needs, and in most of them are equipment. We have needs for different equipment for the studio. Something in the region of $5,000, I think, something like that. But there's a lot of information on the website how you can give, and we really appreciate your support and depend on your support. It's because of your help that we're able to make this program now.
And not only that, we want to tell you, so we will like to have maybe more panel. Like right now we are two, but we love to be able to be more in the studio, so we can have more dialogue, and it's like a different dynamic. Dynamic? Is it right, my name? Yeah. And so it would be great to be able to have something more, which means more cameras, more chairs, and all these kind of things.
So you can get involved, and not just watch the program, but you can also be a partner and help us, and be behind the scenes making all of this possible. And because of the people's support, your support at home, we're able to come from Jerusalem with the latest news, with interviews from Israel, and some amazing things happening, really. I'm going to start off with some of the construction projects, because I know that there's a lot of things being done in a lot of the building up of Jerusalem. There's a lot of things are happening here which are not reported in the news. They're not sort of things that fill newspapers or news reports, but they are very important. And now one of the major projects, Nathalie, is the new highway into Jerusalem, what's called the number 1, or Road 1 or Route 1, which is the main road from Tel Aviv into Jerusalem.
And Ben Gurion, which is the airport to Jerusalem.
And Ben Gurion as well. Yeah. It's the main route if you are traveling from Ben Gurion Airport to Jerusalem. The number, you'll see it when you come to the land, and that's a fantastic experience, and to see the work that they're doing on Road 1 or Route 1. Now it's estimated to cost, Nathalie, it's going to cost about 2.5 billion shekels, which incredible figures here, but it's about $662 million US dollars. It includes the construction of bridges, tunnels and interchanges over a 16-kilometer segment on the road to Jerusalem. It's one of the most important projects undertaken by the Israeli Ministry of Transport, infrastructure and road safety. It's going to accommodate. It's for accommodating higher traffic. And we had Rabbi Pasak, one of our guests was talking about this, that he was having trouble coming into Jerusalem coming even into the studio because of all the traffic.
Because there is more and more people. There is the Jewish people who live in the land, and they know that Jerusalem is going to be an international place more and more. In the Messianic time, it's not just in the air. This is the reality of what's happening here, and they are getting ready. This is very simple. They know that more people are coming, and like I think almost every year now, people who are coming in Ben Gurion, they're having records. This is the most people coming through airport, and every year we hear that because it's non-stop. It carries on like that. And the same for the Feast of Tabernacle. It's written in the Torah, in the Bible, that people are going to come, the nations are going to come to Jerusalem. So obviously you need to have more infrastructures put in place.
And they're not just building a road, but there's also a rail link, a fast rail link that they're building. It's going to be 30 minutes, I understand, from Tel Aviv.
28
minutes from Tel Aviv, the center of Tel Aviv, unbelievable, to the center of Jerusalem, 28 minutes, which is it's an incredible time. And by road now you couldn't do that.
No,
but,
and not only that, it's like because the train will go in and out, and I can't remember the figures, but I was looking at the thing, and it's like it's going, maybe at the beginning it won't be so fast, but I can see that they are going to be able to bring people in Jerusalem in a high rate, which reminds me, when we had now we are used to the light railway, but the light railway was going very slowly at the beginning, if you remember, because people weren't used to that, they didn't want to have accident, and now is building up, and now is like a normal speed. So again, all these things, when you think about how was Jerusalem, like even 100 years ago, this is just a miracle in front of our eyes.
And the amazing thing is that all these things are happening at an incredible rate. That not just the Road 1, not just the railway and the light railway, but there's a lot of construction going on. One of the construction projects when you come into Jerusalem is it's called the Jerusalem Binyamin HaUma railway station. Now, an incredible project. They had to go deep underground with this project, so for a long time it didn't look like anything was happening because it was being done underneath. They're now at the stage, as we are in the studio today, they're at the stage of it's above ground now and coming to completion. And it's not just going to be a railway station, it's also a bomb shelter. So, this is the thing about Israel. They have multiple uses, and it's I think it can fit. I was reading 5,000 people in this as a chemical against chemical warfare and conventional warfare, as a place where people can go. And that there's so much in the news going on, and we know that it's very important that we're able to bring you news and news reports from the land of Israel, that you can hear what's actually happening now. I was just going to have a quick look at the papers. We're going to have a look quickly at Nathalie's book. We're going to try and squeeze everything in as well. Maybe we'll just quickly look at the book and then go straight to the papers so that we don't miss it, because there's so much news at the moment.
The book, the thing is because I knew when I was starting to discover the Jewish roots of my faith, of Christianity, I discovered how the word is so important, and the word it's not written in English or in all the other language, it's written in Hebrew. And because it's written in Hebrew, we need to learn, we don't need to be expert. We just start where we are, knowing nothing, and just start by the letters. And I said, if I want to know these kind of things, I know that there is people who wants to know, and sometimes it's difficult to find books like that. So I just write a book with the letters giving the understanding behind and the beauty, and it's just the beginning for people to say, okay, it's not just for the experts. This is for whoever love God, love His Word, and wants to know more, because when you see it in Hebrew, it makes a lot of difference. Speaking about that, again, there's so many things happening. We are going to a Bible studies right now every Wednesday, and is with our Jewish friends. And again, it's organized with CGCUC. And you see, digging with the Hebrew language, it gives you so much depth and love of God, and understanding how He's thinking, and giving us the way how we can sing like Him, and see the thing in, I mean, like yesterday we're doing something about love, beautiful thing and all, but at the end of the thing is like, you know, love is connected with giving. And if you love somebody, you are going to give something. And like, it's the same, like Abraham wanted to give his son, Isaac, and God, the same for us as Christians, wanted to give His Son for us to be able to be connected with Him. And you just see all in the Hebrew language, and it's just amazing.
And if you'd like to get the book, you can just go to the website www.israelfirst.org, and there's all the information about it. It's a very easy to read book. It's a good introduction to the Hebrew language, and you don't need to be afraid. It's not heavy reading. It's light reading, but it'll give you a good start with learning the Hebrew letters.
And I've done it I condense the things. Sometimes I was thinking about some sentences to give as much as possible in a sentence. So if you read the sentence, sometimes your mind will go somewhere else, because I try to do that. So do you understand? It's condensed, like our DNA. We have everything in it, but it's like all twisted. So there is a lot of thoughts put in it.
Now, I'm just getting the Jerusalem Post out, and it's the headline. This is the headlines from the Jerusalem Post. It says, Iron Dome down stray projectile over the Golan. That's the big headline of the Jerusalem Post. IDF braces for more violence after 5 weekend terrorist attacks in Jerusalem, and in West Bank.
Yeah, in Samaria and Judea.
Yeah, so we've been, whilst there's a lot of construction and exciting things happening in Israel, there's also a battle, a battle to be here in the land. Now, I've got...
And please pray for the peace of Jerusalem. This is what all concerned about Jerusalem. We're all concerned. Jesus, was born in this land. He's coming back in this land. And we need to connect with the people of Israel, and we need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
This is a newspaper that I don't recommend, but as a journalist, I like to look at it because it gives me a different aspect. And don't recommend. It's not a good newspaper to read, but it's one of the newspapers in Israel, the Haaretz newspaper, and it's got Jordan condemns killing of citizen in Jerusalem, and this is such a strange story because the guy was a terrorist. So
no, he was yes, a Jordanian
terrorist.
You have to say
a Jordanian
he was
terrorist.
Coming from he was coming from Jordan, and he was a terrorist, and he's been killed as just to protect.
He was carrying out an attack at the time with a knife, I think, and they're protesting about something which you'd normally apologize for, that one of your citizens carries out a terrorist attack in another country. This is, it says the IDF, this is again from the Jerusalem Post, it says IDF working hard to halt violence after 6th stabbing attack. There is a, as we come into the studio, and obviously it depends when you watch the program, but there is a current wave of terror, another wave coming up. But it's not just in Israel, but also this is the International New York Times. It says there was an attack in Manhattan, a terrorist attack, as we're in the studio.
But I think we need to say, you see, because there is tremendous power right now, good in one way and bad on the other side. There is so many things that are happening, because the kingdom of God is coming. Again, it's something that we have to speak about. It's like, you know, there is evil forces against the good forces, but we know that at the end, the good forces are winning. We know the end of the story. So it's very important that we keep peace and we pray for the peace of Israel and know what we need to do. But like we have to see that there is bad things happening.
And the other thing we need to really point out is that, you know, and this is a very good example. This is again the Jerusalem Post. It says terrorism surge continues with Jerusalem, Hebron attacks, 3 policemen wounded, 2 terrorists killed. We ought to really point out that these are isolated incidents. They're very serious, but they're not a reflection of what's going on in the whole country. And it's very important as you're watching that you don't get the wrong impression, you know, because you could say, well, this is something happening in every street corner, in every part of Israel.
Very, very true, because a lot of people, I mean, you will hear it in the media, and yes, this is happening, but at the same time, yes, there is so many tremendous things that are happening. And maybe I can show the people this picture which really reflects the change between the Jewish people and the Christian. I would say more the Catholic, because it's the work who's been done with Catholic clergy, I would say. But there is this picture that we're showing you now about a statue in Strasbourg, and you see ecclesia, which represents the church, who is standing firm. And you have the other one, which is synagogue, who is down and with a broken staff. And this was how the Jewish community and the Christian community was represented during the medieval time and until almost like 50 years ago. Okay. And now we were speaking just before in the beginning of the program also about this change that's happening with the Catholic and the Jewish people, this new relation. And now, interesting, in September, so it's like a year ago, the Pope Francis went in America and in one of the university, and they've done a statue, and now you can see this statue, and the amazing thing is they are sitting together. There is like relation now between them. The Jewish people have the Torah and the Christians have the Bible, but there is a connection between them. And this is what's happening in the reality, like every Wednesday when we have a meeting with Jews and Christians, and they are bringing what they have received in the Torah, and we come with our Bible understanding, and we are connecting, and we are bringing to each other some richness. We are communicating now. And this is what's happening. So yes, there is terror. Yes, there is all these things. But yes, there is amazing things happening in the land here.
And if the viewers are watching, if you're watching today and you are meeting, if you're also having, building bridges with the Jewish community where you live, wherever that is in the world, do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us. You can write to us also at our address, and we'd love to hear from you and tell us what's happening in your area. Tell us about some of the bridge building that's going on. And like Nathalie was saying, if you're from a Catholic church, we'd love to hear from you as well, that you can tell us a bit about that. Well, we've run out of time. It's been great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Israel First television program update. And if you'd like to look at the website and see a bit more about what we do, that's www.israelfirst.org. Email us at info@israelfirst.org. And don't forget, we're the program that looks at the land, the language, and the people.
So today we're looking at the 6th letter of the alphabet, and it's the letter called Vav, okay? And it's called also the letter of truth. It stands perfectly straight. And it's called also the letter of connection, because it's like a conjunction and. Like, when we speak about the man and the lady, we spoke already last time, Ha'ish and Aisha. So when we say the man and the lady is Haish ve Aisha. So Vav represents also the number 6, like the 6th day of creation when there is humanity who is born, is very important. And there is a passage also in 1 Corinthians 15, and it said, the first man, Adam, became a living being, and the last Adam became a life-giving spirit. Which is interesting because you see, Adam is called Adam Arishon, the first one. So if there is a Adam Arishon, it means that there is a second one. So the thing between the two is that when Jesus came, he had this power of resurrection. He has this power who's been able to bring us from heaven to earth, bringing what is in the heaven and bringing into earth. And this is so important. He is our connection to heaven. Now, another thing we say also Vav. In plural, it will be Vavim. It's like the hook. So the Vavim was there to stand. It was like the connection between the holy place and the world. And our Yeshua is the one who's bringing us into the tabernacle. He's our connection. Okay, so we look at 6 letters already: Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, and Vav. And now you know already 6 letters. This is wonderful. So do you remember? We said the man and the woman, Haish ve Aisha. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for being with us today on the Israel First update and being with myself and my wife Nathalie. Don't forget you can email us or write to us. We love to hear from you. And remember, we're the program that looks at the land, the people and the language.